For any of you who may not be aware of what Jonathan Pollard does, Jonathan Pollard was a former naval intelligence guy who spied for Israel and spent 30 years in prison as a convicted spy. So, according to the New York Times, Mike Huckabee held a meeting at the U.S. Embassy with an American who spied for Israel. Jonathan J. Pollard, who was convicted of espionage, said in an interview that the meeting, which was highly unusual for a U.S. diplomat to attend, had been friendly. So, let's have a quick history lesson here about who this guy, Jonathan Pollard, is. So, Pollard was arrested in 1985 after he attempted to flee to the Israeli embassy in Washington. He passed along tens of thousands, possibly millions of documents that were all classified to the Israeli government during his time with the Navy. He was an American-born Jewish guy who, from a young age, believed that he had a sworn duty to support and uphold Israel, and he believed that the classified intelligence that was coming across his desk was of material interest to the Israeli government, so he immediately began leaking it. He operated under a guy named Rafi Eitan, who is an Israeli intelligence leader. That guy, we also know, was involved in what's called the Apollo Affair, or the Numek Affair, which in the 60s was when Israel allegedly stole over 200 pounds of enriched uranium from an American nuclear enrichment facility to build their nuclear arsenal. So, why is this guy at the embassy? Because, as you know, the embassy of the United States and anywhere in the world is American soil. So Mike Huckabee had an unsanctioned, unscheduled meeting with a convicted traitor on U.S. soil. Anyone explain that to me?
I have no idea. Boy, it's definitely not a good look. I mean, if it's unsanctioned, but at the same, again, like Huckabee has a mandate. His mandate is this is what his mandate is. This is the official policy, and what, like, you think they're gonna arrest him here? It's his duty.
It had nothing to do with his duty. That's not incumbent on him to meet with convicted spies at the embassy. But of course, the White House had no knowledge of it, and they said, even though we didn't approve it, it wasn't cleared by us, we still totally stand behind Mike Huckabee and all the work he's doing over in Israel. This is actually Mike Huckabee's, like, he can't claim that he didn't know who this guy was or what the deal was. He campaigned to get this guy released from prison for decades. Here's a news clip from back in the day.
Governor Huckabee joins the recent calls to act in benefit of Jonathan Pollard, who has spent more than 25 years in U.S. prison for spying for Israel.
He pled guilty. He served an extraordinary length of time for the crime that he was convicted of, to which he pled guilty. And it would seem to now be, I think, a matter of goodwill and a good faith gesture for the president to give clemency and release him.
So there you go. This is a guy who has been campaigning on behalf of a convicted spy for decades. And then suddenly he goes to the place where that spy is taking refuge. Because after serving 30 years on that charge, Jonathan Pollard got onto a plane. He was released from prison on parole in 2015, spent 5 years unable to leave the United States. Eventually in 2020 was granted clearance to leave the country after his parole was not renewed. He flew to Israel on a jet owned by Sheldon and Miriam Adelson, who you may recall are the Trump mega donors, and was greeted on the tarmac by Benjamin Netanyahu, who gave him a hero's welcome and an Israeli ID card and welcomed him home, thanking him for his service. This guy is a hero to the Israeli community. There are streets named after him over there. After years of Israel denying that he even spied on their behalf, they finally confirmed it, and actually, when he got there, received a pension that they normally give for Shin Bet and Mossad agents, which means he is registered as like an official retired intelligence operative. And I think that's insane. I think Mike Huckabee should resign in disgrace over this, and I don't know what counter anyone would possibly have to that.
I really don't have an opinion on that news story.
Well, Miriam Adelson and well, Sheldon's dead. $106 million to Trump's 2024 campaign, and she was the one that lobbied for Huckabee to be appointed as the ambassador of Israel, and they gave Huckabee the Defender of Israel Award in 2013 and another one again in 2025. So when you ask why is the guy that spied on the United States on behalf of Israel then being flown on the biggest Israeli, she's not Israeli born though. She was born here in the United States.
She's a registered dual citizen, which means not American.
But I mean, it is interesting to note 106 million. That is the largest, single biggest pro-Israel donor in history. In history.
Yep. So,
I mean, you can point out or you can make the dots. You can't connect the dots, I guess. If you connect the dots, then you're anti-Semitic. But you can certainly point out the dots, and here's the dots.
No,
it's all public information.
I keep connecting dots, and the lines form a 6-pointed star every single time. I don't really get it.
She was born. Hold on. Okay, so Miriam Adelson was born in. Oh, she was born in Tel Aviv in 1945. When did she relocate to the United States of America?
So I believe she has official American citizenship, but she is a dual American-Israeli citizen. And we just had that moment where Donald Trump was in the Knesset a while back.
Can you blame anybody here? Like,
yes.
Who? Well, for what?
Well, the guy that's
the guy who was born in the United States but swore loyalty to a different country and compromised intelligence assets for a decade. The documents he leaked, some of them ended up in the hands of the Soviets during the Cold War.
Wow. She was also the largest donor for Trump's first campaign in 2016. How much money have the Adelsons actually donated to Donald Trump over the years?
All right.
That's an interesting
Aside from that crime, that's an actual crime. Do you blame Israel for wanting to get intelligence? That's their job. Do you blame the Adelsons who tried to push Israel? You know, the
no.
agenda?
If I had dual citizenship in another country,
that he's been declared that's his part of his agenda. I think it's a non-starter.
Wow.
Everybody is a nationalist for the country they actually support. I don't begrudge anyone your ability to be a nationalist, but then don't limit my ability to be a nationalist on behalf of my country.
You're saying
so? I think the fact that Jonathan Pollard is still alive is a disgrace.
$330 million the Adelsons have donated to Donald Trump's. So when you say you don't see the big deal, $325 million in 2016, $5 million in 17, $2 million in 18 and 19, $90 million in 2020, $100 million in 2024, and then another 106 post-election donation to support Trump's transition and agenda. I mean, how can you look at all of that money that's spent and then not have questions, Humberto? $330 million.
I do not have questions because everything has been declared. Like, she's been on that position and she's been openly saying what she's going to do with her money the whole time. Like, there hasn't been a secret, you know. Has it been a secret that she's doing that with her money? Can you blame her for
every single person involved in this openly declares it. They all make their stands. There are no secrets here. So what I'm asking is, in light of that public information, in light of everything we know, why don't we get to do anything about it? Why do we have to say, hey, people who openly declare loyalty to a different country and use our country to advance their own nation's interests, why do we have to comply with that? Why do we have to go along with it? Why do we have to let people like Miriam Adelson continue to line the pockets of politicians up to and including the President of the United States? Why do people like Eric Adams, after losing the election in New York, fly to Israel, put on a yarmulke, stand in front of the wall, and say, I did my best to serve you as mayor of New York? Why is this acceptable? Why do we not say, hey, enough is enough? If you do that, there's going to be consequences. Mike Huckabee, why do you get to host a convicted traitor at the embassy of the United States in Israel? And then not only is there no condemnation, there's actually praise from the administration saying, oh, you're doing a great job. We want you to keep doing it. We fully stand by everything you're doing over there. Resign in disgrace, man. Like, what is left for you to do? Unless the entire administration is on board with this. So I can't keep connecting these dots and see anything other than what's in front of me here.
Has the administration spoken against it?
No, they spoke out in favor of Mike Huckabee.
Okay, so that's that.
They said, oh, we didn't know it was happening, but we fully stand by everything you did.
They appointed him. This is reality.
Has Trump ever been asked, like, hey, the Adelsons have donated $330 million. Does that ever come into your decision-making process when you're making decisions based on foreign policy, specifically when it deals with Israel? I think that's a fair question to ask the president. Has anybody ever asked him about this money? I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and at least think that he'd answer honestly, but I don't think I've ever seen a clip of somebody asking him about the sheer amount of money that's being donated to his campaign and whether or not that donation, be both pre-election and post-election, has any decision-making influence when it comes to Israel? Because that's a fair question to ask.
And there's all sorts of other donors as well. I don't want to, discount the fact that other people play this same game. Elon Musk gave an ungodly amount of money to the Donald Trump campaign in 2024. And look at the role Elon got to play in the administration. Obviously there was a big blow up and Doge collapsed and then is now completely disbanded, according to some sources, 8 months shy of when they said they were going to. They never audited the Pentagon. They never audited Fort Knox. They never did all the stuff they said they were going to do. They just fired a handful of useless employees. But Elon got his say. Elon sided with Vivek Ramaswamy in that big
until
blow-up.
he didn't, when the EV tax credit, which they said was the breaking point between the two of them, between Trump and Musk, when that lapsed or they didn't renew the EV tax credit, that's when it seemed that he wasn't getting his way.
Yeah. Well, he threw his weight around on things like the H-1B.
That's not even the point, Connor. Like, if you don't like people putting their money where the mouth is, like the true plan of Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg is already rolling, and you're going to hate it even more than this, all right? We are going to have a society that is absolutely controlled in every single data point, all right? Everything that you say, everything that you think maybe, because you're going to put chips on us. And this is not coming in 10 years, it's coming in 15 years. You think the big pharma is going to take their ads out? There's only one way to make change, and I realize this. The only way to make change is to make a lot of money and then just put it into work. Complaining doesn't do anything in this country. You know what I mean?
I'm not even sitting here trying to complain. I'm sitting here trying to raise awareness of the fact that it's even happening. Because despite the fact that none of this is done in secret, none of it is covered. The average American citizen does not know who Jonathan Pollard is. They don't know about the Numek affair. Nobody's ever heard of the USS Liberty attack. I'm saying a country that we are obligated to continue supporting for reasons that are completely beyond any single one of us to explain, for some reason, continues to do things that harm our country, and then you're a bad person who needs to be silenced and censored if you speak up about it. So that's what's enraging me on this. And I see constantly people like Mike Huckabee speak up and say, actually, if you're an American, if you're a Christian, you have a sworn moral obligation to uphold the integrity of
Do you think he's a true believer? I think he's a true believer.
I'm not going to question the legitimacy of his faith in God. I am going to say the application and his scriptural interpretation leaves a lot to be desired. And I wish that our government wasn't run by people who only have that one interpretation. The only people who might have questioned it, ironically, Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Donald Trump's trying to kick both of them out of the government. He successfully did it with Marjorie Taylor Greene. So there is a 4D chess plan in place, as a matter of fact. It's just not the one we think they were playing.
Mike Huckabee is Southern Baptist, by the way, so he is very much pro-Israel. I wouldn't say Israel first, but he is a Southern a Baptist. He was ordained.
I'd confidently say Israel first at this point.
Well, this is the official position. Like, this administration has a lot of wonderful things that everyone loves and cares about. You want to agree with an administration 100% of the time. You know what I mean? It's a state of affairs like that. That's why I think it's a non-story, because there's nothing surprising. And I'm not for it. I'm not against it. But that's how things go. You know what I mean?
Well, in light of this, if it happened in a vacuum, would you think Mike Huckabee should be reprimanded? Do you think he should resign from his position over this?
Well, he's appointed by the executive branch, all right, as an ambassador, and it's up to them who appointed them to reprimand it or not.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If it happened in a vacuum where there was no allegations of money and special interests being thrown around, if we didn't have anything to say about any other policies, completely happened in a vacuum, if you appoint a guy to be an ambassador to a country and he is holding secret meetings with a guy who spied on you on behalf of the country they're in, would you want that guy to continue doing that job?
You've seen how I run my team. I'm very by the book, very about procedures. There's procedures in place. I would like them to be followed.
Well, there you go. I mean, fair enough. If there's nothing more to be said on that, sure. But, like, this is the system we're in, people. And I don't know why it's goes over so many people's heads and is so difficult to persuade them to see what's right in front of them here.
But I don't know. The left covered this a lot. Like I saw the guys in the Breaking Points and Gray Zone and everything. They covered the story quite a bit. But out of all the things that are going on right now, like I'm more worried about young guys being able to afford houses. You know, that's my top priority because that makes babies. And when you make babies, you make a country great again. You know, like all this minor, you know, like foreign affair incidents. Like I'm completely over it. I'm starting to watch football on Sundays. In this sense, because I don't think things can change, Connor.
And that means they're winning.
What do you mean that?
Because you have people who are they reach the end of the pipeline. They run out of anger and momentum. They run out of desire to see anything change. And like, all right, fine. I might as well check out, consume the goy slop, and watch sports. What do I care? There needs to be people who continue to be angry and motivated about it, because otherwise nothing ever gets done.
I agree, but I think the way you channel, and we're boring Rob to death with this conversation.
No, I'm enjoying it. More anti-Israel. Let's go.
I'm definitely not anti-Israel, but what I'm saying is that the channeling is a thing that's been wrong for years. All right, like you build something and make something better instead of criticizing the other side. You know, I wish my people were lobbying for things. You know, I wish it was an America First lobby. That I would love if there was an America First lobby. Like some people that respected ranchers, they respected affordability, and they started lobbying for 30-year-olds to be able to buy a house by 30. You know what I mean? They started lobbying.
That would be great.
But it would be great. I think there's enough people to have those things at the forefront. I think there's a movement to have that at the forefront. But I think we need to get more practical, Connor. That's the thing. We need to get more practical.
I mean, yeah, there needs to be some practical steps taken here because, I mean, something's got to give eventually. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. Why not just check out and do our thing?
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.